wait through the daylight. I can wait through the daylight.
Okay, MiLea, what is it like to be a sports editor?
Hi, I'm here with Michelle Garman, and I'm going to ask her a few questions about her job. What exactly is your job?
My job is I'm in charge of putting together the local sports pages in the Tipton County Tribune, covering the local high schools and other local sporting events. Being a small newspaper, occasionally I go over into the news. I have done feature stories before. Not always just limited to the sports pages. Small papers are probably a little bit different. If you're on a bigger paper, you'll have a beat, and they'll give you a specific coverage area. Like somebody for instance, the Indianapolis Star, they have a beat writer for the Indiana Hoosiers. They have a beat writer for Purdue. They'll have a beat writer for the Pacers, a beat writer for the Colts.
Yeah.
They're all different people. But smaller newspapers, you don't have that. It's you, and then I have Gene Conard. Most people around have probably met Gino, who's invaluable at 80. He's an octogenarian, but he's still loves getting out there and doing it, and it's great because when you have so much going on, it's nice to have help. So, you can hire. We call them stringers or freelance reporters, photographers. Sometimes I take my own pictures, but Tammy Hine has been invaluable source for me for photography, and so I thank Nate and Jake for always wanting to be athletes.
All right, and how long have you been doing your job?
28. It was 28 years last August, so about 28 and a half years.
That's exciting. What made you decide to work for the Tipton paper?
I was just offered a job. I started out as a biology major at IU, and I had I was allergic to something in my biology lab that would give me migraines, and so I had to drop. I'd have to go back and sleep, so I had to drop it, and so I switched over to English, and then Kathy Clausen was the sports editor at the Tipton paper. When I was in high school, I'd helped her by doing some stats for volleyball games and giving her notes, especially like if she needed to go someplace else, I could go and take notes and give them, and then she'd write stories. But she needed somebody because the managing editor at the time, Nancy DeBolt, left the newspaper, and when she left, Kathy got the managing editor's job, so she needed to find somebody fast. So she offered me the job. I'd never really thought about it. I took it, really enjoyed it, and I've done it ever since.
Okay, how has social media affected your job and other?
Of social media and popularity of the internet and everything has made it really tough on the newspaper industry. There are a lot of newspapers that have had to do layoff of people because there's so much information out there on the internet. I know I have a friend, colleague, that he was a sports editor at the Lafayette Journal-Courier for a lot of years, and he got let go. And it wasn't by that newspaper; it was a corporation decision, number crunching. So the internet is made. I think it's made. As a journalist, you have to be more creative. You need to make sure you get your stuff out there. Social media has really affected it. Twitter. I'm an avid Twitterer on that, and for me, by us being a PM newspaper, Monday through Friday, which what that means is that we work of a morning. Our deadline is, early afternoon, and the paper comes out. You get it of an evening. AM newspapers, they work at night, and you get your paper on it's usually on your doorstep of a morning. And but for PM, because things happen at night, that's one way for me to keep people updated on games or to break something that I couldn't break till the next day. So I'm not quite as far behind. I can still break a new piece of news. Now, you're not going to get a whole story on Twitter, obviously.
Yeah.
But if I give a little bit, then maybe people will want to pick up the newspaper the next day. There's just a lot of avenues and a lot of ways to get information. Facebook and Twitter also, a lot of are informational, and especially you can to track down sites or stuff if you need it. You know, we've had people share by being a small newspaper, not having a full-time photographer, because we don't at our newspaper. A lot of times people will say there'll be a photo on Facebook, they'll let us share it.
Yeah. And what advice would you have for our publications class at THS on articles or anything?
I would tell you to read as many different writers as you can. Some really good ones. If you like, find great columnists. If you think you want to be a column writer, but read different newspapers, different writers. You know, not so much the canned Associated Press stuff, but find some writers that are good. You know, I enjoy reading a coworker of mine, Ed Hamilton. I think has done a really good job. I didn't, without a journalism background. Kathy hired me, and then what was great, she did a great thing. She put me under kind of the tutelage of Tom Carey, and Tom, wonderful writer and a wonderful editor, and great at giving you ideas, but really challenging you and making you into things. And I always, even when he moved on to Kokomo and did like lifestyle stuff, I still enjoyed reading his stuff, because you can learn. Unfortunately, he's since passed on. But I just say read but develop your own style. And remember, when you're doing, I've been told this at seminars and everything else, especially in today's world, people may allot themselves 15 to 20 minutes to sit down and read the paper, probably no more. So you need to try to keep your paragraph short and the information concise. And you know, if you have real long, rambling paragraphs, you're probably going to lose their readers. And always do this. Don't sensationalize, but there's always a way to get it. If you need a story, to get a good story, and just getting to know people and getting contacts in different places, that's real valuable too.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, MiLea.